Welcome back to the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast of the Little Trek Men's Preview. This episode is brought to you by Morton, and Little Trek have had a very successful 2025. Even though we're going to be previewing the 2026 season for them, we have to acknowledge 2025 was a major step up, I think, for the team in all aspects pretty much. And we'll go through that. We'll go through their transfers. We'll predict what will be coming for them next year. Maybe how we see the, cooperation, collaboration, or lack thereof between some of the big riders in the team. That's one of the big discussion points, I think, for this preview. But this episode's recorded on November 7th. Not sure when it'll be dropping, but as of today, the team has for 2026 29 riders confirmed, and maybe they'll add one more, but I don't think it'll be particularly consequential if they do. How do you rate their 2025 year, Benji?
Well, I think we need to look at where they came from even before that. Was, I would say, Lidl joining the team, investing quite a bit of money, now even, I think, owning the majority of the team as well. So it's now Lidl that is the host of the team. So it's a German team in the future, not an American one, I'm pretty sure. That's going to have its effects maybe in the long term, but in the grand scheme of things, that simply means that they've got more money to spend, and we've seen that on the transfers that happened last year, but also this year. Now, when it comes to their results in 2025, 46 victories, Patrick, 20 World Tour wins. If we compare that to the year before, which was 2024, there they had 42 victories, so 4 less, and 15 World Tour wins. So they did step up in the numerical amount of victories, 5 World Tour wins more. The question is, are those bigger victories? Let's jump into it. Classics-wise, Patrick, I'll let you go over the classics here. How do you view the results in the classics? What did they achieve, and did they achieve what you expected them to achieve?
Yeah, I think they outperformed classics expectations, mainly thanks to the strength of Pedersen. Pedersen stepped up this year, much better than in 2024. Usually in opening weekend, they kind of skip that with their best riders. They do they do a camp in Mallorca with their best classics riders, and then they come back in San Remo where he wasn't so good. Pedersen was actually not very good in San Remo, still top 10s. But then after that, second E3, first Gent-Wevelgem, second Flanders, third Roubaix. I mean, that's podiuming in both the Cobble Classic monuments and winning a Cobble Classic. That's about as good as you can expect. There's also Sturven padding out the top 10 in a couple of those as well. Top 5 even in Flanders. Okay, I mean, do I think Pedersen rode the smartest Roubaix? No. But other than that, it has to be considered a successful classics campaign.
I think that's definitely fair to say. Also, the puncture probably didn't happen in Roubaix, whether that's a self-manufactured puncture or an accidental puncture, you don't know. But I'm not meaning that he did it on purpose. I'm meaning that his riding style.
But go and rewatch that sector and compare how Pedersen rode that sector to Van der Poel. Just compare that.
La, 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 la.
Yeah, Van der Poel's like
a cobble, bam.
Yeah.
Anyway, Hill Classics then followed. Skjelmose winning Amstel Gold Race, and I'll take the one-day races in general when it comes to hills across the season, not just the Ardennes. Ciccone getting second at LBL, Classica San Sebastian taking the victory there against Jan Christen and, was it Del Toro? I think it was Del Toro.
Del Toro, yeah.
And then Quinn Simmons, actually, I don't know if this is surprising to say, but I think he had an underrated season as a whole. Because we speak about the big names in the team, Pedersen, Skjelmose, Milan, as the big names that achieved something here, Ciccone. I would put Simmons relatively close to that top bunch of riders in terms of results, because in one-day races, getting third at Montreal, fourth at Lombardia, but also, when it comes to other type of results, winning a stage at Catalunya, winning a stage at Tour de Suisse, Simmons had a really good season, and got relatively close to a Tour de France stage victory, not super competitive where he was actually like sprinting for it or anything, but he was close enough to be mentioned as one of the underrated riders in the team compared to their value in delivery. But I think I want to talk about the Grand Tours, Patrick, because they chose to goal for the goal, winning every points jersey in every Grand Tour. And they achieved that. Pedersen won 4 stages at the Giro, plus Ciclamino. Super impressive start by the team at the Giro. Like, they were the team at the Giro for the entire first week with Vatsek, with Pedersen. That combination was brutal in the first couple of stages. Tour de France, Jonathan Milan wins 2 stages but the green plus the green jersey. And at the Vuelta, Pedersen wins 1 stage plus the green jersey. How do you view their dominance in this green jersey? How much was it because they were simply the best versus Milan at the Tour de France maybe having a little bit of luck?
A bit of luck, but they also targeted it. They made it a goal. Yeah. And so you can say, oh, well, if Van Aert went for it, if Van der Poel went for it, but they didn't. They didn't go for it. And so they put a team around Milan to go for it. And yeah, he won it. So, I mean, Pedersen in the Giro was, I think, one of the most dominant 1-week runs of the year. He just was, the first week of that Giro was all about Pedersen, actually, until the gravel stage. Like, Trek were just doing what they wanted with the peloton, so that was really, really impressive. Back to the one-day races as well, they're the second best one-day race team in the world. Inarguable. And you could almost say they were deeper than UAE.
Ooh.
I don't agree because actually with McNulty in Lombardia and Montreal and Amstel, but it's actually closer than you think. Of course, Pog is the best by far, but yeah, they were really good with 5 different riders, Sturven, Pedersen, Ciccone, Skjelmose and Simmons in major World Tour classics.
I find it personally difficult to say they were the second best day in one-day races. I agree that they definitely have an argument to it.
But who's better?
But I also see Alpecin as having an argument as in, or actually winning the top-level one-day races like Milan and Sanremo. That's the argument for Alpecin. So that's the fight where I'm like struggling in my head who deserves that second spot then more. But definitely as a team, then I agree with you. As Van der Poel, that's the other factor, you know?
Yeah, Van der Poel clearly better than Pedersen in the target races in Sanremo and Roubaix, but even Thibaut Nice, 5th in Liège, 8th in Flèche, just across all the one-day races, I think, they were really good. They nearly beat Visma in the ranking for second. Visma, I think, because of Guangxi, a good performance there, still maintains second, but they clearly stepped up Trek. And I think the big takeaway for me is they separated themselves very clearly from, I think the other teams are a tier below them. So maybe they're now in Visma tier, UAE one tier. Visma Trek maybe is now another tier. And then I think Trek are above Quick-Step, Bora, Ineos, Decathlon.
I think that's certain. I fully agree with you there. And that's like, I see the evolution where while I was hoping that we would see the gap to UAE close from the teams below, just for the sakes of the fight in the sport, that has not happened. UAE has extended that. Yes, bit of a spoiler for this Visma preview. Yes, Visma has won 2 Grand Tours, so that is an overperformance compared to my expectation to them when it comes to the Grand Tours throughout the season. But I think the fight in the next coming years will not be Team X versus UAE. I think it is going to be UAE, and then the bracket of Visma Leasebike, Little Trek, and the upcoming of Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe maybe in 1-2 years as well, because they have the money to make it to that strength tier, but they just haven't delivered this year. So I fully agree with you that they've settled themselves, Little Trek, in that Visma Leasebike bracket. It's different though, because while Little Trek is definitely the better classics team right now, on the other hand, Visma Leasebike is definitely the better GC team right now. And I think in the grand scheme of the sport, winning 2 Grand Tours will always be seen as much better than what Little Trek has delivered this year. You know?
Well, yeah, I was at the Tour de France presentation, and when they were doing all the videos and the hype stuff and the showing what happened in 2025 Tour de France, I was like, they forgot Jonathan Milan was there. Like they basically didn't show it.
What if he was French?
And of course that's different. But
Jonathan
yeah,
Milan.
is coming second in the Tour is going to capture more limelight than winning the points jersey. Or actually, yeah, they put way more focus on certain stage wins, even by Ben Healy. Ben Healy got more limelight because of the way it happened. So in terms of sprinting, they're looking pretty good. Our predictions, thanks Trixie, she prepared a tracker for us. We predicted both of us 15 World Tour wins. Pardon?
Crazy, that sheet.
So detailed, yeah.
We got to give some credit here. Not just the predictions in World Tour wins or total wins that we had in the team previews, but also any predictions we made in any podcast throughout the entire year is in this spreadsheet. We'll forget about half of them because I see incorrect standing next to most of them, but about Little Trek, I'll let you continue. How many did we guess?
We guessed 15 each. They got 20, so they outperformed there. We both said they would move into third on the UCI ranking ahead of Quickstep behind Visma and UAE. That did happen. So their win total keeps going up. In 2021, you know how many World Tour wins they won?
Let me guess. 7.
2.
Really? It was way worse than I expected.
One was San Remo and one was a tour stage, granted, but it was 2.
That is so crazy bad.
Indeed it is. You know, and in 2022 it was 6. In 2023 it was maybe around 9. And so they've just been building and building, and yeah, Milan was a fantastic signing because yeah, if you have a top sprinter, they win a shitload of races. It just pads your wins. So
yeah,
and without a GC rider, without a Pogacar, without a Vingegaard, without a Remco, without a Roglic, they can afford to put 6 riders around him in a Grand Tour, and then you guarantee some wins. Okay, that's
that is true. I do want to add, that was the discussion we had over the last couple of team previews. Last year, the year before that, when Nibali retired, for example, and when we every year had the discussion of Ciccone is not a valid GC rider for a team to have. Gegenhardt coming to the team was a potential option of having that podium candidate. Hasn't worked out so far. Skjelmose can compete for a 1-week race, can compete for a top 5 in a Grand Tour. Doesn't seem like the rider that can podium a Grand Tour, in my opinion, on a regular basis. He has to still find his way to do that at the moment. And let's be honest, right now I would say that Skjelmose is probably pretty close to his peak level in his career, is my assumption. So that's where we were lacking. And that is something that they have once again invested for in 2025-2026 transfer season. But before we get there, I think we already said it, 2025 season was, do we say perfect? Near perfect?
No, not perfect. They didn't top 10 a Grand Tour.
Fair.
And I think that's a blemish. I made that stat up, but I think it's correct. I think that's the one blemish on. Correct. They want to be maybe the best. I think no, not maybe. I think they want to be the best team in the world, and then they want to do better in GC. And you can see that's very obvious by the biggest rider they signed this year.
Is that also not because they sent Skjelmose to the Tour de France for a top 10 instead of to a Giro or a Vuelta where he has an actual chance of top 10ing a Grand Tour? I don't see that at the Tour de France.
He can still crash out of the Giro or Vuelta.
Yeah, and he crashes a lot.
Yeah. And so that's the blemish, is that, yeah, Ciccone, both of me and you were saying, please just go for stages. And he didn't do that in either the Giro or the Vuelta.
Yep.
But now apparently he's learned his lesson. So next year will be different.
We've heard that a few times, my friend. Talking about next year.
Next year, yep.
Transfers. Outgoing riders from Little Trek. Jasper Stuyven has been a backbone of the team since the days where they were winning 2 World Tour wins, because he was that MSR winner. To Soudal Quickstep. Ryan Gibbons retires. He was a lead out they signed in the last 1.5 years, and I feel like it didn't really come out. Alex Kirsch has been a part of the team for a while now. I think he was on the Bruxelles team before that, maybe. Is now going to Cofidis, which kind of a surprising transfer to me. I feel like there was still a space for Alex Kirsch within the team, so I assume that he left because he wanted opportunities elsewhere. Then Tim de Klerk retiring. That is, I'll be honest, de Klerk had like a period in his career where he was the go-to man, the tractor, pacing at the front of the peloton, and he was super hyped because of that, but also on top of that, he had some classics where he was really strong. We didn't really see that same level anymore once he left Quickstep towards Little Trek, and I'm not surprised that it's now led to retirement at the end of 2025, but I did enjoy Tim de Klerk throughout his career. Juanpe Lopez, El Patron, is leaving, my friend, to Movistar. Ay, ay, ay. Dan Hole won time trials this year for this team, going to the Decathlon CMA CGM team. If we take a look at that, then they're losing quite a bit of strength, but it's not irreplaceable. Is that a fair assessment?
It's definitely not irreplaceable. I mean, is Sturven likely to win a monument in the next 3 years?
No, but he can help the team win a monument.
Well, no, because Pedersen refuses to use that advantage in a race. So, yeah. I think they're right to let these riders go. What's the common denominator? Apart from Dan Hole, they're all around 30, or about to be near 30 next year. Dan Hole, I think, was good in their classics team.
I think he's a loss.
80 race days, just very consistent. Rouleur won a Grand Tour stage, best season of his career. That is a loss. That's a rider that Matthias Norsgaard is not Dan Hole's level.
Nowhere near.
Not close. So that's
like, he's a nice guy, but he's on the Danish Friends contract.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I even think Walscheid is not an Alex Kirsch replacement either. Alex Kirsch is in target races, like in E3, in Provence at the start of the year, very, very good in positioning, whereas Walscheid is much, much more limited. That's where I don't know if Walscheid's supposed to be a like-for-like replacement in the classics, or if he's more a Gibbons replacement for flat lead-outs for Milan, but yeah, I don't know, Walscheid, like, did he do good lead-outs?
Well, it's often hard to say when the sprinter at the team where he was leading out was also not that good. So that's why it's always difficult, but I don't vividly remember Walscheid being the best lead-out in the world. I don't expect him to be the go-to lead. The one difference is his back is bigger than Consonni.
Yeah, but is he going to be paired with Milan, or is he going to be paired with Pedersen? Because with Pedersen, it's not a good fit.
And Walscheid is more cobble friendly with Pedersen. That's the more compatible side of the deal. Lead-out train-wise, I don't really see it as much. I think he's like second last man vibe. He's like the guy in front of Consonni instead of Stuyven, maybe?
Yeah, that can work. Then you have, Consonni and Heiden behind him. That could work. Before we get to the really big name or the other big transfers, a word from our sponsor today, Morton. We had last night the late night race. Although this is going to be dropping a few days later. Yeah, we had an 80-minute race on the Innsbruck course, and I was fueling up with Morton beforehand and afterwards. Winter training, if you're in Northern Europe, means a lot more time indoors. I even had for the snack afterwards to recover the Morton cocoa bar to get 200 calories of carbs in. But the Morton's signature products, apart from the bicarb, I would say, is their hydrogel technology. It's a game changer in the industry that delivers carbs smoothly without bloating or gut issues. If you're training indoors and you're trying to increase the grams of carbs per hour, Morton makes it simple to hit that without worrying about stomach problems. And if you want to mix up the texture, you've got the hydrogel in the gel format, drink mix. Also have the solid 160 bar to give you a texture reset mid-session. Combine all three to hit your carb goals when you're grinding out the base miles indoors this winter. So get 20% off your first order at morton.com with the code LRMorton2025. in between, we're batch recording right now. We're going to have a lunch break. I'm going to hit the mountains ASAP for an hour. And I know, like running, in cycling, you don't move up and down. In running, you actually move up and down. And I find that having stuff that doesn't upset your guts even more important, and especially when you're trail running up and down. And yeah, the Morton gels are perfect to have one at the same place on the trail every time. I'm locked into a routine, and it works perfectly for me. So go check it out if you haven't tried it yet. And yeah, it's 20% off. So I think it's a pretty solid discount as well. Okay, the big signings. Well, Soderfist, maybe he is a combination of Sturven Gibbons. Holer, they think he can do that role.
I see that, but also, like, do we see the possibility for Söderqvist to in classics play some kind of role?
Yeah, sure. Maybe
because he's
Kirschroll?
not completely flat boy, eh?
No, he can do Kirschroll, and that's the thing. Do you pay a few $100,000 for Soderfist and lock him up for 3 years versus extending Sturven on a big contract, or going with Gibbons again?
I would always pick Söderqvist over that, because to me, Söderqvist is Vatsek minus 1.5 years in World Tour. That I expect a jump in level, or at least I expect the world to know who Söderqvist is in 2 years.
Yeah, he's already winning multiple pro races, won a stage at the TT in Denmark. He's podium in, the back end of the year. He was podium of Tour of Holland, podium Tour of Denmark, won the U23 World Championships individual time trial. So, yeah, he was so good in Valencia at the start of the year. He's more versatile than even Dan Holer, I think. Punchy-wise.
For sure.
So,
like that Valenciana stage. Holer would never do that.
Ooh, on the long climbs, Dan Holer's good. Jebel Jais, Dan Holer.
Jebel Jais is a false flat uphill for these professionals, not for me.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Soderfist is... I think you just got to take the risk that the young guy will step up rather than overpaying for guys who are not going to improve. I completely understand that. Sobrero is actually... can be a really good versatile domestique. Like, is pretty fast. And like Paris, for example, he made the crosswind split with Lipovitz when Visma sent it. He made that split.
Is he some kind of Verona? It's not exactly the same, but it's like he can play similar roles.
He can pull a 10-minute 5% climb really hard. He can do a versatile lead out for Pedersen. He climbs pretty well. This guy won a Grand Tour time trial himself, but it was 3 seasons ago at the end of the Giro.
Yes.
But yeah, he's just very inconsistent. Like, he never put that level together throughout a season like he did, Paris, and then didn't do anything after that shape until... Bologna, where he was good. So there's 5 months of no real results.
I'd rather have Sobrero in my team than El Patron. Sorry, El Patron.
Agree.
I know you're a fan favorite, but Sobrero's more valuable for the team, in addition to the fact that wasn't he the dude that got second on the decapitated Vuelta stage on 2023 Vuelta? Vague memories.
He was. He's just a good all-round rider. He's another one from the 2021 Astana. So he's another one whose career got kind of short-circuited.
Shanked.
Yeah, he was on NTT, and then he was on Astana 20, and Astana 2021 was shocking. So yeah, he's a good rider.
To be honest, I look at these transfers so far, and I'm like, okay. Walscheid, sure, he's not going to be on $1 million. I'm okay with him trying that. Sobrero, sure, I think that's a solid replacement. I think that replaces Lopez. I think Söderqvist replaces a bunch of the riders that are outgoing. Norsgaard is the one that I'm like, okay, this guy's probably only on the team because he's Danish and trains with other Danish riders on the team. But if that is the price you pay to keep Pedersen happy, very valuable transfer. People management is important on top of just the individual factor that the riders bring. So I think it's perfectly fine so far. But now the big one, Patrick. Juan Ayuso leaves UAE Team Emirates, joins Lidl Trek, with the added context that the rumored money related to it is a 10 million euro buyout sum plus 3 million per year salary. That is 25 million to have Ayuso on your team for 5 years.
5 mil a year.
So much money, especially for a rider. Like, I like Juan Ayuso, but at the end of the day, right now, it is do or die when it comes to podiums at Grand Tours next year.
The pressure will be on. I mean, I don't think Trek is not an environment like maybe some other teams where the pressure's really put on the riders in maybe not a good way. I think all the riders like riding for Trek.
Well, Skjelmose is the one putting on the pressure on Ayuso right now.
Yeah, exactly. Ayuso will come like 4th in a Grand Tour. He's like, look, he's rubbish. It's like, you can't stay on your bike. So, you will see there. But yeah, it's a lot of money. 5 mil a year for Juan Ayuso. You do have to remember he's 23 years old. He is still like, even on a year that was maybe disappointing, he's ranked 12th on PCS ranking with only 60 race days. Yeah. He opened the season winning 4 races in his first 10 race days, including Tirreno and a stage, and then a Catalunya. Like, he could have beaten Roglic, so he nearly won 2 1 weeks. I know, woulda, shoulda, coulda. Giro is looking good. I mean, it's clearly their best GC rider on the team. Yeah. But I don't care that he's failed in a few Grand Tours. It's not even close to the rest of the riders.
I fully agree, but it is a gamble, especially for that money. And that brings us to an overall discussion that might take a while. Because the big question is, how do you balance Jonathan, Milan, and Pedersen by itself, but the added factor of Skjelmose and the added factor of Ayuso to that list? First of all, Geoghegan Hart, good luck, buddy. Like, whatever dreams of Grand Tour leadership he had, I don't believe he has that right now in any future years, which is logical because we haven't really seen that recently.
Ciccone
is on top of that as well, but then again, he learned his lesson, so he's not going for stage apparently. But if we take a look at the Giro, the Tour de France, and the Vuelta,
how would we schedule
the Tour de France parcours? So it's hard to know which parcours are better for sprinter versus versatile sprinter, which Grand Tours are better for having a user with that sprinter or not. First question. Which sprinter is more likely to accept Ayuso and a couple riders in support of Ayuso during a Grand Tour, Milan or Pedersen?
Pedersen.
I think so too. Because Milan needs to be babysitted more, right?
Because like Pedersen knows what he's good at. Breakaways and really, really hard sprint stages. Like Pedersen's not beating Merlier or Philipsen or Coy or whoever in the absolute flat sprint stages in the Tour next year. I don't see it. So don't you go Mads Pedersen Green, Juan Ayuso GC combo? And I think Kim Anderson gave an interview saying Milan and Pedersen is not compatible in the Tour next year.
It's a shame, kind of, because I vividly remember the days back in 2011. I may be having the year wrong. Maybe it's 2008 or something, 2010. Thor Hushoft leading out Tyler Farrer for the Garmin team is some of the most badass shit I've seen in sprint stage in a while. Because they were both really good sprinters. So I would love to see in one race throughout the season, Pedersen leading out Milan, even if it's simply for show at the Little Deutschland Tour.
I don't see it happening.
I don't see it either, but I'd like to see it once.
I think the Tour will be Ayuso, Pedersen, and then like versatile guys like Sobrero, like Schoens, Simmons. Who else? Like guys to make it really, really hard for a sprint.
Yeah.
What climbing support do they have for Ayuso?
But is the Vuelta parcours that good for Miss Pedersen? Because on flat sprint, he does not have a chance.
Yeah, like what tour stages can he win?
I'll be honest, I don't have them in my head anymore. I've looked at them a few times, but checking them out as we speak just to have a...
I think he wants to go for green more than stages. But then you do need a lead out to get top fives.
Is Vacek that man?
Yeah, then you go Vacek, like Sobrero, Skuin, Simmons, and I don't know, Ayuso, Bernard. Who is going to be the climbing domestique of Ayuso? I know climbing domestiques are overrated, but you do need some people, at least one person around you after there's been a climb.
Yes, but also the added factor is stages like Montjuic and so forth. Those kind of stages at the Giro last year, or this year at least, would have been stages where Vacek and Pedersen might have tried to go for it. At the Tour de France, you can't do that. Because then it's Pogacar and all the others, you know?
I think Ciccone is a good combo with Ayuso.
If Ciccone knows his place.
But he will. He'll try to win a stage from the break, and then otherwise, yeah.
And Ciccone is willing to work for others as well. He's shown that.
Yeah.
But that's also in races where he's also getting that same domestique works from the others then. Because that's always been the combination of Pedersen and Ciccone, right? Whether it was Ciccone's KOM jersey at, was it the Vuelta or the Tour de France? Don't remember. Pedersen was working for him. Ciccone was working for Pedersen in other stages. So that combination really works. Add Ayuso on top of that. I think it's not impossible, but Ayuso will not be working for any others in that Grand Tour. And he shouldn't have to, because on paper, he's the Grand Tour leader. He's the GC leader.
Yeah, ideally they would have someone like Gegenhardt in good shape would be better than at that role than Ciccone maybe.
Do we see Kemna return to career best level?
Career best, I don't know, but I mean he was back at a good level this year at points. He was top 6 in Tour de Suisse, for example, in GC, which is a very good result. So I think they need one of Ciccone, Gegenhardt or Kemna, probably Kemna or Gegenhardt to help Ayuso. I think the combination of Ayuso and then a full sprint train for Milan is I don't really see in the Tour.
Yeah. I think stage 4, 5 is stages where a little trek can make the Tour de France hard for a potential sprint of Pedersen, but I do see a possibility that a Philipsen survives that and then ends up sprinting for it. So 4 and 5, I'll let you look it up while I'm yapping about it. Then I also think stage 9 is a stage where if Pedersen can't do it from the peloton because it's too hilly, to go in the breakaway and have a chance there. So that's 3 stages so far I can think of.
And take green jersey points ahead of the other pure sprinters in the intermediates.
That is true. Stage 13, Ballon d'Alsace seems very hard. Little Trek would have to control a hard breakaway stage there. Because that's leaning more towards breakaway than peloton sprint like that.
But Ayuso also doesn't deserve a whole team all around him at the Tour yet either.
Stage 17 could also be Pedersen territory. I'm saying could because it could also be
and Champs-Élysées
territory. And Champs-Élysées. So 4.5 stages, let's say.
There's enough in there for him.
But Milan could also win multiple flat sprints at the Tour de France.
He could. So but
and
I think actually
both cannibalizes on points.
Yeah, but who's more likely to win green on that parcours? For me, it's Pedersen by far.
For me, it's also Pedersen. Also, he's a really good climber for a sprinter. And if anything, it's weird to say, but I wouldn't even classify Pedersen as a sprinter. He's a versatile sprinter. In flat sprints, he's not that good in 2025.
No.
Positioning has been an issue, and even when he's in position, he's not fast enough in flat sprints, especially at the Tour de France. So he can stack top 5s for UCI points. He cannot win a flat sprint at the Tour de France.
I think Giro will be the Milan show with a full lead out, and he'll clean up some sprints there.
If the
And
route is fitting.
I think that's I think that's what they'll do. And then the Vuelta, I think will be Milan again. And then Pedersen will do like the one-day classics like Ploue after the Tour.
That's whether it's Milan or Pedersen doing the Vuelta, it's not super relevant. Do we need to keep in mind that the Montreal World Championships could be Pedersen territory?
Yeah, so I think that'll also make him more likely to want to do the Ploue Quebec, stay in Canada, build up. Whereas for Milan, he can't win either, most likely. Oh yeah, he cannot win either. And
Ayuso Tour Vuelta double?
Yeah. Well, then what Skjelmose are doing?
I don't fucking know. Amstel Gold Race?
Yeah.
That's why the balancing is difficult, eh?
Well, Skjelmose will want to go for Worlds, so he might not want to do the Vuelta.
Is Worlds hard enough to be pro Skjelmose versus Pedersen?
I think both can be competitive.
I don't remember the parcours, so
it's just like a hilly.
Is it the Montreal parcours from the one-day race, or
no? I think it's a slightly easier climb.
Okay,
but it's like they do it 50 times, so
yeah.
I think Skjelmose's only option for GC is the Giro. Then
is that usually the most fitting for Skjelmose because it rains there, eh?
I don't know. But then how does he combine it also with Amstel and those races? So that'll be tricky for them to manage, I would say. His expectations. Maybe Tom Schoens gets leadership for once.
Do we know if Skjelmose's extension happened behind the scenes, perhaps before Ayuso signed, and maybe that's why he's that angry about Ayuso joining?
I don't know.
Because I feel like it feels like that. Because the way Skjelmose responded was, they've said they're building a team around me. They've discussed building a team around me in the coming years for GC, and now Ayuso is showing up. Skjelmose is not the go-to GC man in the team now. Yes, he's won Amstel Gold Race. Yes, he has top 5 the Grand Tour in the last 2 years. I think Vuelta last year, 50, yes. Yeah. But, I think he has no choice but to do.
Is Skjelmose a top 10 GC rider in the world?
No.
So, then he should focus on the Ardennes. That's what he's
Ardennes Giro Vuelta or Ardennes Vuelta is the only option I can think of.
I think he'll do Ardennes, Giro, and then build up for the Canadian World Champs with the one-day races with Pedersen.
The classics are an easy discussion when it comes to Little Trek. Copy-paste plus Søren Kragh Andersen actually being there.
Exactly.
And Vatsik not being injured.
Yeah, do they lose Kirsch, they lose Sturven, so they lose 2 of their most experienced guys who were around Pedersen in the Belgian Classics when it mattered most. Do you think could someone replace Sturven in the Cobble Classics?
I think a healthy Vatsik replaces Sturven.
Yep.
Maybe not this year, but next year. As in maybe not 2026, but 2027 at least. So it's like it's only a matter of time.
Philipsen. And then we haven't even mentioned Albert Philipsen.
Not yet for me.
Third in Paris Tour, very talented. What is he, a GC rider? Is he a classics rider? What is he?
I don't feel GC when I think of Albert Philipsen.
I think he's a classics rider.
I'm more leaning towards classics rider. And how would you divide it between his chances for becoming a Cobble versus Ardennes classics rider? Or is he a combination?
Both.
Yeah. Not Flesh though, for some reason.
Not Flesh, more like a Amstel, and then maybe he can sprint for a top 3 in Liège 1 year. I mean, if Velasco can sprint and Hermans, why can't Philipsen? And then, Cobble Classics with the harder ones. Roubaix he'll probably still do anyway. I mean, Paris Tour, he was excellent. And then 1 week races with like the Tirreno parcours like this year. He can do well in Tirreno and 1 week World Tour races. But Grand Tour GC, I think he's too big.
Question. We're discussing Söderqvist, Philipsen. These are all riders that came through the Little Trek development team. Next to that, they've got a couple of other youngsters in their team as well, including Tim Thorn Teutenberg and so forth. But do we also need to discuss whether their development team has been able to, for example, Hector Alvarez, for example, I also expect something from him in the future, but in the grand scheme of things, do we feel like their development team has filled up again after all these talents grew out from their development team? As in, has their development intake equaled the development outcome? Does it make sense?
Yeah, I think it comes in waves. They had a really good vintage with Bear and Soderfist, Teudenberg, Philipsen skipped it. And I guess you could say, well, Philipsen could have been in the Devo team this year, but so they had another young guy who's going to be second year U23 on the World Tour team next year. Then next year in the Devo team, they've sort of restocked. They got Harry Hudson, just won Junior World Championships. Anyalt Urcaregi, who's like multiple medals in Junior World Champs on the track, probably the best Basque junior. So it looks like they've restocked with some more talent in their juniors. Yeah.
Grindley's also not an unknown, got second in U23 road race last year in Zurich, and junior last year, and maybe
I was surprised they didn't bring up
this year, or fourth.
I was surprised they haven't brought up Patrick Boya. Not just because he sounds like my name, but he's been their best all-round rider in the Devo team. I think we'll see him doing non-World Tour races with the World team.
I could be wrong, but I feel like there's a continental team, Airtox maybe? I don't know.
The restaurant team.
What the fuck? Airtox Kalrash?
Yeah, Kalrash.
Whose boss is called Fritkjar, I think. And I wonder if those two are related. And I wonder if there's also a relation to Pedersen somewhere. Maybe it's personal relationships or familiar relations, because Pedersen actively promotes that continental team or something related to that on his socials. Or maybe one of their sponsors is also sponsoring Pedersen. I don't know. There's a connection there. Maybe the Danes can tell me.
Because his brother was on that team before he was on the Trek team.
Okay. It's a connection, but I think there's more to it.
Yeah.
Don't know where I was going with that, actually.
Wouldn't you want to do something else?
Pedersen's dad runs it, according to Luke.
Okay.
But there's a connection there.
Yeah. Okay, so what are your expectations for the team next year? How many? I think we've discussed, they're looking like Ayuso does make them a much more balanced team. They had that glaring gap. They, as I said, didn't top 10 a Grand Tour this year. Like points jersey, Cobble Classics, Hill Classics, absolutely covered. Now they have Ayuso. They've paid a pretty penny for it, but it was a big gap. They want to be the best team in the world. Yeah, they're not going to get Remco. Ayuso's the fit. Verona's his mentor, etc. We've done sort of their main Grand Tour goals. What do you now expect the results to be next year?
Well, just in addition to what you said that or they already achieved, which was that achievements in Grand Tours this year, the point during stage and winning a Cobble Classic plus Hill Classic, be more competitive in 1 week races and compete for a Grand Tour podium is, in my opinion, the new expectations added on to that. I think you agree with that. But in actual World Tour victories, they had 20 in 2025. That's a lot of Pedersen victories, which Pedersen going to the Tour de France, hypothetically in our idea, he will not get 4 Tour de France stage victories. He might get the green jersey though. Milan going to the Giro and Vuelta, can he get more than the 5 stage wins that Pedersen had among the Giro and the Vuelta?
Milan had 7 World Tour wins, so a third of their total this year.
He did. So the way I'm looking at it is like this. I think that Pedersen could win a Tour de France stage and the green jersey. I don't expect him to win 2 or 5 or something.
I would say it's more likely he wins green almost than a stage. If I had to pick between the two, I'd be very confident he wins green.
Yes, but I think he'll get both. 1 stage plus 1 green.
From a break or whatever,
Milan, I see as he can win 2-3 stage at the Giro, 2-3 stage at the Vuelta, so he could fill up that loss in stages. I do think they'll have maybe 1 or 2 less Grand Tour stage wins especially with Haller leaving and so forth, in 2026. But then again,
Well, the
can
Giro was
Vatse get a stage
ridiculous.
win?
They won one with Verona.
Yeah, but can Vatse then get a stage win in 2025? In 2026? Yes.
If he's a slave for Pedersen, no.
He also had opportunities in breakaways this year that didn't really tune out. So if he gets a little bit better or more consistent throughout that Grand Tour, I think they're going to be pretty similar when it comes to Grand Tour stage win, 6 instead of 7, I'd say. But the rest of World Tour, I'd expect them to be relatively equally competitive.
Yeah, Ayuso could be good for 5.
Yeah, so maybe Simmons doesn't get his 2 World Tour wins, but then Vatse could fill up that gap.
Or Philipsen wins at TDU. I think I'm going 20. I'm going 23.
Oh, fuck. I hate it when you like choose numbers that I'm like also on the brink of saying. I'm going with 22. I'll go 1 under. I don't want to pick the same number again like you. It could be more, but it depends on Merlier versus Milan. If Milan gets the amount of wins that Merlier does this year, then it's completely different. Because Merlier had a bunch more World Tour wins than Milan this year. Eh?
But if at the Tour will be Coy, Merlier, Philipsen, so the Giro is free. So he should clean up 3 minimum at the Giro.
Yeah. But do we expect Manier to step up, stuff like that, not to beat Milan?
No, not to beat Milan. So, I think they've added, when you add Ayuso in, when Ciccone might win more, I think 23. And it's not like I don't expect Milan or Pedersen just to regress.
Wait. World Tour wins also includes stage races.
It does.
You're going 23, I'll go 24 then, actually.
Yeah, okay. And remember, closest to the pin wins. Do they podium a Grand Tour?
Ooh.
I'm going.
Hypothetically?
No.
Okay. Hypothetically, Jonas does Giro. Pogacar does Tour Vuelta. Jonas also does Tour de France. So that's 2 spots at the Tour de France gone, 1 at each other Grand Tour gone. Let's say Remco and Lipovic do Tour de France. So it's hypothetically impossible for a user to podium the Tour de France unless he gets notably more consistent or better. If Ayuso does the Tour de France, then I don't believe he will podium. He can, in my opinion, podium another Grand Tour outside of the Tour de France.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure their schedule will allow for that to happen. Then it would have to be the Vuelta.
But I don't think he'll get the Vuelta unless Skjelmose and Ciccone don't do it.
Has to be Tour Vuelta double for Ayuso. You can't pay $5 million per year for a GC rider and send him to one Grand Tour.
And he can podium the Vuelta.
I'm saying he podiums the Vuelta.
Okay. Yeah, depends on the scheduling, but yeah, I can see that too. But I'm going to say no.
And it's partially because I'm hoping, for the sake of Ayuso, that he does, because otherwise this transfer looks really bad.
Yeah.
25 million is a lot of money, Patrick. It's a massive gamble for Little Trek, and I would not have done it that much money for Ayuso.
Not for me. Wouldn't you? What if the sponsor just pays it?
It's 25 million.
The sponsor says to you, we need to be on the Tour de France podium next year.
How much is Remco? Jersey.
Remco can't come.
Okay, because you're not riding on Specialized. Well, if your sponsor comes to you and tells you...
Who's the next best option? And we want to buy him for you.
Well, that's a discussion that you'd say Ayuso is the go-to man then, but that still doesn't make it... Just because he's the most likely option doesn't mean it's a likely option.
Yeah, but they want to be competitive in the Grand Tours. They want to win World Tour 1 week stage races. So,
I want a Ferrari.
Yeah, but what's money? It's a full gas.
Well, I reject that.
Yeah, but if the sponsor says make it happen, tell us the name. I don't know if that happened or not, but the more problems I see is I don't know what Milan's extension looks like. I don't know what was Philipsen's extension going to look like. I don't know what Vacek extension is going to look like. But yeah, they're going to be spending a lot of money in 2 years. on Ciccone, Skjelmose. It's going to be it's a big budget team. All right. That's our little Trek preview. I think, are they clearly the second best team in the world?
We can give some hot takes for this.
Yeah.
I agree with you, by the way. I expect Little Trek to jump up. Jumping above Visma requires them to be competitive at a Grand Tour.
Maybe in UCI points, but in actual
yeah, I don't see it.
I don't see it yet. I think Vingegaard is still so much clearly better than
Vingegaard will win the Giro if he's there, and Pogacar is not.
And then Van Aert could be level with Pedersen in the Cobble Classics next year. Then there's Brennan, so
not sure about that, but
yeah.
I expect them to stay within that range with Visma. I think the battle is with Red Bull, as in, can they hold off Red Bull from that lead?
They'll smoke Red Bull. Red Bull will in the Classics.
Well, the Classics are not the all-defining thing either, eh?
But
if Remco wins a Hill Classic and it's those kind of things. In 1 week stage races, they've got more GC riders than anyone can count, so they should be pretty competitive in 1 week stage races, I like to believe.
You'd hope so.
So it's more of can Red Bull Bora's Grand Tour strength beat or challenge Little Trek's classic strength? Because Little Trek is not certain when it comes to their Grand Tours and 1 week races. Ayuso's a gamble. When it comes to Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe, their classics team doesn't work at the moment.
No. So I still see Little Trek ahead of them. And they're also just on the positive upswing. It's all going well for Little Trek for the most part. Everyone's performing. Philipsen's young, Vacek's young, Soderfis is young. So I think they're going to keep performing.
Vacek wins a Cobble Classic.
I don't see that. I actually think Vacek is quite... It's actually hard for him to win.
Yeah. I'm happy for you.
Because they don't do the anticipate thing with Pedersen there. And he can't win a sprint.
Opening weekend, buddy.
Opening weekend, true. What's my hot takes?
Omloop is the one for me with Vacek, as in he would have to do it there because or a Kuurne attack phase that leads to the victory. I don't see it in the main classics.
I think Skjelmose leaves at the end of 26 and goes to Uno X.
I think that's I wouldn't say a realistic hot take. I think it's still a hot take because literally on paper he is rumored to be extended. But I think I wouldn't be shocked if it happened.
Even with the extension. I'm saying it's a hot take because of if he hadn't extended, if he was out of contract, it's not even a hot take. But because of the extension, I think they're like, okay, Hill Classics were pretty covered. Philipsen's coming. Can we save some money, get a buyout? He's unhappy. I can really see that playing out. So I think Skjelmose leaves end of 26. There's just too many cooks in the kitchen.
I don't like doing negative hot takes. But I think it's not impossible that Pedersen does not win a World Tour race.
I agree.
Because of the fact that he would go to the Tour de France. If he does not win a classic, which is possible, and he goes to the Tour de France, then the question is, what other races does he go to? Does he go to 1 week races, etc.? Pedersen, win the Dauphiné.
No, win a stage of the Dauphiné.
Oh.
The stages count too.
He said, win the Dauphiné. I was like, what?
Or Paris.
Well, yeah, but Pedersen should be able to win a stage at the Dauphiné, so that ruins my entire plan.
Yeah, or Paris. Yeah, but no, it's a hot take because I also agree it's possible.
I'll go with Pedersen does not win a World Tour race in 2026 as my hot take. I hope it's not true, by the way, but it's not unrealistic.
I think their Cobble Classics regress. I think for the next year at least, I see the long-term vision. I agree with what they did, but I think in 2026, I would rather have the core of Holer, Kirsch, Sturven, plus maybe a Soderfist. But taking all three of those experienced guys out, I think that will hurt positioning and other things in the classics. Cobble Classic.
I do hope Pedersen finally gets his chance to compete at the end of Roubaix for the victory. For the sake of, I want to see it. Because I believe Pedersen, at any point in his career, by now should have been able to compete. I'm still telling you, Luke Rowe on Through It Dynamic ruined something there. Pedersen was going to win that edition.
Yeah.
Or break his wheel on a couple a few segments later.
Yeah. I mean, the Roubaix is a lottery, but yeah. Okay, other positive ones, I would say...
Are we underrating a rider like Wozzeck in the next 5 years at MSR? I'm not saying next year.
He can't sprint.
Well, Turgi got second in MSR, buddy.
Don't care about no second. So, very good rider, all-round rider, but
yeah,
he, like, how many professional wins does he have? Oh, he has 6. That's a lot. Oh, no, 4 of them are Czech Natty champs, and one's the UAE Tour stage on Gazprom. So he has 1
I'm telling
win.
you, Omlop's joining that list.
Yeah, okay.
It's actually unlikely, but that's why it's a hot take.
I think Quinn Simmons keeps getting better.
He was really good this year. Well, that's not a hot take. Keeps getting better is such a stupid fucking prediction. Someone keeps getting better.
Dude, since the election, he just took off again. So he's riding the wave. Alrighty.
Does Zoran's victory negatively affect Quinn Simmons' level next year?
Yeah, he refuses to do the East Coast races next year.
He's not riding the Grand Prix.
I'm not allowed within 5 hours of state of New York. City of New York. What threats do you see?
The state of New York?
I don't fucking know.
Do you know what the Epstein files are already?
No.
A few podcasts ago, that was not the case.
I don't check the news. Just live my life. The threats I see to the team are too many cooks in the kitchen, Pedersen demanding bad transfers. We already see a few of them a year. And yeah, some riders getting unhappy. That also comes with the territory of being a top team. So that's just kind of a positive in the negative. Anything else before we round off?
Some Omen is on this team. What?
Yeah, there was some not good signings a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's for sure. 2024 transfer season for this team was special. You had Milan and then a bunch of shit that shouldn't be in this team.
Baggioli's actually been all right.
Luke in chat says he's been a great domestique this year.
Who?
Some Omen. He's actually, level-wise, he's actually not been bad. I have to agree with him.
You know who
I
was
just don't
decent?
remember him.
You know who was pretty good in the... I feel like Conrad was good this year.
What do we say about Thibaut Nys? We haven't discussed him once. He does Ardennes and staged in a Grand Tour that fits.
Cyclocross rider, don't care. Wake me up when he does a 25-hour-a-week winter on the road.
Is it a hot take that he wins in Ardennes?
Yes, that's a hot take. How the fuck is he going to do that?
Who's going to show up to Flash Wallon? Let's talk about that. Pogacar is going to skip it.
Okay.
Pidcock is going to beat Nys though. I can't go for it. I can't.
You don't believe
then
it?
Again, I think he's going to finish second at Flash.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the Ardennes, he was really good this year. He can be good in the Ardennes, but then they should not take him to the Tour.
Especially not if you have 7 billion other leaders in that race, bro.
That's what I mean.
The Vuelta's the race for Nys.
Yeah, the Vuelta would be a good fit.
I think Nys is going to... They should do the Michael Matthews peak schedule for Nys, man. Just send him back to Romani, Catalunya, and so forth.
He doesn't like bunch sprints.
No, that's why. Versatile sprints.
Yeah.
Like group,
I agree. Just
sprints.
lean into what he's good at.
Yeah. That Ardennes plus Vuelta. got a good season.
Then Worlds.
Yeah. Well, the team shouldn't care about Worlds. If anything, they should tell him not to do it so that he can ride more for the team.
China.
Okay.
Why not?
Okay, let's wrap this up.
Why he can't do TD? He's a puncher and he can't do TDU or China because he's doing the mud sport.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the UCI points in the mud sport will count in 2 years. So.
Yeah, apparently they're going to count. So I guess it's extra valuable. I mean, he's 22. We don't need to write him off yet. He's got 12 pro wins. But yeah,
I think he's going to be better next year.
He races 44 race days. Why did he do the tour this year, bro? He did 34 race days last year. He had no Giro Vuelta, no off-season building a base for road cycling, and then he did half his race days in the Tour de France after starting his season in Indurain, admittedly well. What are we doing?
Not doing the Tour de France in 2026, I hope.
Alrighty. Jarno Widar, Thibaut Nice, mega battle in Tour de Bumfuck next year in August. Look forward to it after they fail their main goals. Benji will be
Thibaut Nice is a
commentating.
better rider than Widar.
No, what do you mean?
Yes! He top 5 the LBL this year. Let's not pretend that his Tour de France results are his guiding result here.
Widar won LBL.
Yeah,
U23.
U23 against some fucking Galician farmers.
It was against Senna Romain, Luke's cousin. So,
He's actually a good talent.
yeah. I don't know. Who are you taking UCI points head to head? Head to head UCI points next year, Widar or Nice? Who are you taking?
Ooh, UCI points are difficult.
They are
I'm
road
going
cyclists.
with Nice because I believe he's going to have at least the points he has right now, and he's going to have a better schedule. So I think he should be able to get, on an average season, 13 to 1600 UCI points.
Yeah, 1250 is like the floor.
Yeah.
And for Widar to get 1250 is a lot.
Because all his UCI points come in the first 6 months of the year this year. The rest is dead.
Yeah. Give me Widar. Let me take Gianno Widar. And it's all from Dot Pro Farming.
I don't know. For me, the thing with Widar is he shows talent. He is talented. But then there's these races where he just does notably worse than I expected.
Who?
Sprinkled in between. Yeah.
He got his whole Belgian team to pull the whole World Championships race and then collapsed.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, but then he won Euros.
Yeah, but nobody gives a fuck about the Euros.
No, that was not against like Seychelles.
Was against Maxime de Comble.
Maximum Cockwomble. So, alrighty. That was our standard Belgian discussion. Well, that was our little Trek preview. They got a lot to be
excited. We can't talk about Australians because there's no good ones out there.
Well, yeah, no team signed them because they're like, let's get this overhyped European rider who's been a professional since they were 13 years old, still can't handle their bike in the peloton, instead of this Australian rider.
Tell me which Australian rider. Does it finish on... Does it rhyme with John Wick?
Seb Berwick.
Anyway, let's wrap it up.
Jay Vine?
He's already in World Tour.
Would have been... Yeah, but just to how underrated, Jay Vine would have been Little Trek's best GC rider by far this year.
Of course. For sure.
If Jay Vine was Belgian, Quickstep would have paid him infinite money to lead the Tour de France.
Yes.
I don't know what point I'm making anymore. I'm going to end the podcast now.
I think with Jay Vine, there's a differential where the whole indoor cycling vibe added onto it.
But that's the
I
thing,
think that's
you
an
can't
added
get
factor.
Jay Vine, if he was Belgian, wouldn't have had to do that route to becoming a professional cyclist if he was Belgian.
Agree. And then afterwards, that specific route negatively impacted how the teams viewed him in the first place.
Yes. Oh, he crashes a lot. Steph Crash. His name is Steph Crash. No one says he's a Zwifter. Jay Vine can do 600 watts for 10 minutes. I don't care. He also doesn't crash that much anymore. All right, that's my weekly rant about Australia. Benji's wound me up successfully. Ciao, ciao, ciao.